Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Chuck Graham Show. We got a damn good show today, I think, that y'all are going to like. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Let's see what we got here today. Now, what I want to talk about is a video that has gone somewhat viral. It's about a traffic stop. It was actually a domestic violence situation to where the cops observed. They observed the woman looked like she was trying to get out of the car at one point, and then she got back in the car, and then they stopped her. And what this guy doesn't understand is he wasn't stopped for a traffic stop. He was stopped because it looked like to be a domestic violence situation, and they actually admitted that they were arguing. So they were trying to figure out and make sure that everybody was okay. And he was saying MF this, MF that, and blah, 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 and all this other kind of nonsense at the police officer. And I think they handled themselves pretty professional. So, but I want to play the first part of the interaction with the police officers, and just take a look.
Tell him to close my damn door.
Tell
him to close my door.
You caused
Tell him to close my door.
He's not
ain't
closing the door.
Ain't no motherfucking reason
Turn
the
up.
door should be open right now. We said talking to you ain't no fucking problem. But like I said,
Listen.
this motherfucker right here
Calm
shouldn't
down.
be opening
Calm
my
down.
fucking door.
Sir, quit
Ain't no
yelling.
fucking calm
Stop
down.
yelling.
Tell him to close my-
Now, that was the first interaction with the police officers. Okay. That was their first, that's what they had to put in. This goes on for like 20 minutes. I mean, he's cussing at them, telling them he's not going to ID himself. And depending on which state you're in, there are states that you have to produce your identification if the police officers asked you for it, especially if you have a firearms permit. You have to, at least in Mississippi, you have to produce it. Now, you don't have to talk to the police. You don't have to answer their questions, but you do have to produce your identification upon request in certain circumstances, this being one of them. They needed to identify him because at the end of the day, when they do their report, well, they're going to need to put his name and her name in the report, because if something comes up later and they can say that they assessed the situation and didn't feel the need for an arrest, or they arrest him and they did feel the need for an arrest. In some states, you can actually, especially something like this, if they wanted to hold you pending an investigation, they could do that too. But like I said, you don't have to talk to the cops, but in some states, you have to produce identification upon request. So anyway, take a look at the second part of this video. And the Oscar goes to the woman that can't breathe. Take a look.
Get on the ground and stop. Put your hands behind your back now. I can't breathe. I cannot breathe. Get off of me. Get off of me. Get off of me. I can't breathe.
Well, that was just the biggest bunch of nonsense I've ever seen in my life. She's screaming, I can't breathe. You wouldn't be able to scream if you couldn't breathe. And all that does is just inflate the tensions all around the country. I mean, of course she could breathe, and of course she's acting. But they did call EMS like they should have, and they tried to hold her up and, set her up so she could. But that was just the biggest acting job I've ever seen in my life. And she just went limp, and cameras were rolling. So, and that's the only thing I can say, because it's an acting job. That she could breathe, and the fake passing out and all that. And if she really did pass out, and I don't know that for certain, it's probably because she exerted so much energy by screaming at the police officers that she hyperventilated. I don't know that for a fact. I think she was acting. I think she was just being an ass and not wanting to cooperate. The very police were there to try to protect her from him, or him from her. And, not to cooperate, at least say, yeah, everything's fine, and they probably would have let them on their way, and that'd have been the end of it. But that's the kind of shit you have to deal with when you're a police officer. You have to deal with that kind of mess. And the bottom line is this. Excuse me, hold on. The bottom line is this. If you have a police officer that is doing his job and as professional as those folks were, I would have taken them to jail a hell of a lot sooner than what those cops did. I would have put up with that about 2 seconds. And then it'd have been just jail time, because the bottom line is you don't have to talk to the police, but you do have to present identification in most states upon request, especially pending a domestic violence investigation. And that's what this was, plain and simple. But folks, the fact of the matter is, that's the kind of people you have to deal with. And I have never seen anyone get their ass beat by the police that just simply stepped out of the car, put their hands behind their back, let them handcuff them, take them to jail, let them bond out. If you're in New York, you don't even have to bond out. Then you just, go on about your merry way. The only ones that get in trouble with the cops are the ones that act like that. That's the ones that get the hell beat out of them. And because you can use one level of force ahead of the suspect. If he's got a bat, you have a gun. If he has his hands, you have a baton or a taser. You can use one level of force above the suspect. And that's another thing people don't understand. But anyway, that was an insane video. Tell me what you think in the comments. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. We need your subscriptions. Hit that notification bell, and we are going to try to have at least one show a day. And stay tuned for some more nonsense, because we can't make this up. We just can't. Have a good day. God bless. And stay safe out there. And make sure you wear them useless masks.